Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports with Mongha. It's kind of weird. A couple of hours after the race is done, you kind of find things changing. If you've not checked out the video, do check out the video of the review of the Australian Grand Prix with the result. But apparently that was not the final result, and things have changed since then. A couple of hours later, it came to the preview that Alonso. But wait for it. Before I get into that story, guys, 100% of you guys liking and watching my videos are not subscribed. I would really request you to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends. There's a lot of new content coming in from the Formula One world, the Premier League, and so on and so forth. Keep the love, share the love, show some love here, and hit the subscribe button. And now let's jump into it together. At the end of the race, it was deemed that Fernando Alonso was driving dangerously. Yes, that's what the stewards came to the final finding. Fernando Alonso has been given a 20-second time penalty following the Australian Grand Prix after the stewards determined that his driving before George Russell crashed out of proceedings was potentially a dangerous. Mercedes driver Russell had been hunting down Alonso with fresher tyres in the closing stages of the race and approached the rear of the relatively slow-moving Aston Martin rival at turn 6-7 complex. On the final lap, subsequently losing control and slamming into the barriers, the stewards noted the accident in the minutes after the race and reviewing the footage available and speaking to both drivers, handed Alonso a drive-through penalty that is converted to a 20 seconds, dropping him to from 6th to 8th, promoting teammate Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda. There's a lot of context here, guys. So what's basically happened, and you have to remember the race ended under VSC. It was because of this crash, because Russell was like on the side in this turn, and it was deemed like it was really hard. But what was happening is Alonso, and it was so strange to see, and that's what was kind of what the stewards wanted to kind of get to the bottom of, like what was really happening. It almost felt like Alonso brake tested Russell, because Alonso was in front. He's kind of on the apex, but he slams the brakes 100 meters ahead from his previous stop, or like where generally drivers would hit the brake. Russell is completely caught off guard. He was like five tenths behind, but now he's suddenly on the gearbox. He doesn't crash, but he tries to correct, and he completely loses the car. And that's very interesting. Speaking immediately after the race, Russell had commented, "I really don't know what happened, to be honest. I was half a second behind Fernando on the entry of the corner, and then suddenly before the apex, I was right on his gearbox and lost the car and ran wide." In a lengthy document, the steward panel, which the weekend included former F1 driver Johnny Herbert, explained the reasons before the decision, and I'm reading verbatim from the stewarding panel decision, so bear with me. Alonso, and this is now starting the quotes, Alonso explained to the stewards that he intended to approach turn 6 differently, lifting earlier and with less speed into the corner to get better exit, read the stewards. And just for context, this happens. There's a lot of maneuvering happening, a lot of management happening in a race, because they have fuel loads, they have tires, they have temperatures. So it can't be like you're identically putting lap after lap. And that's what Alonso has basically also said. He's like, guys, I had issues with my battery. I couldn't deploy it earlier. I deployed it late. I wanted to store some more energy for the next straights and stuff and so on. And that is interesting. Why is Fernando Alonso being targeted here? Like, why? That's kind of why I'm trying to understand. Like, this has happened. Russell made a mistake. He couldn't hold the car, and it's done. It's over. The race ended. Mercedes don't have points. There's no point now, in retrospect, giving Fernando Alonso the penalty, because he didn't brake test him. They're both following each other. Russell needs to be aware. They're the most paid, highest paid drivers in the world. They can't be like saying, I was caught by surprise by somebody slowing in front of me. That's the advantage. Take over, overtake him. And that's what I don't agree with this. Russell explained to the stewards, in quotes again, Russell explained to the stewards that from his perspective, Alonso's maneuver was erratic, took him by surprise, and caused him to close distance unusually fast with the resulting lower downforce at the apex of the corner. He lost control and crashed at the exit of the corner. There was no contact between the cars. And telemetry shows that Alonso lifted slightly more than 100 meters earlier than he ever had going into that corner during the race. He also braked very slightly at a point, and he did not usually that he did not usually brake, although the amount of brake was so slightly that it was not the main reason for the car slowing down. And he downshifted at a point he never usually downshifted, and then upshifted again and accelerated to the corner before lifting again to make the corner. Alonso explained that while his plan was to slow earlier, he got it slightly wrong and had to take extra steps to get back up to speed. Nonetheless, this maneuver created a considerable and unusual closing speed between the cars. In considering the matter, the stewards focused solely wording the regulation, which states, at no time may a car be driven unnecessarily slow, erratically, or in a manner which could be deemed potentially dangerous to other drivers or any other person. There's a lot to unpack here, guys. It's basically saying they're not thinking about the accident. Okay, Russell messed up. Russell fucked up his race. It's on Russell. They're not talking about the accident that eventually occurred. They're saying it's okay. That's not us. We are looking at purely the slowing down of Mr. Fernando Alonso. Did he slow down the right manner, or was there something inappropriate? And this is why he has been given 20-second time penalty, because of this regulation, which says at no time may a car be driven unnecessarily slow, erratically, or in a manner which could be deemed potentially dangerous to other drivers or any other person. There's a lot of interpretations here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate as well why this is happening with Mr. Alonso. But I think this is a little bit harsh, in my opinion. I think this is a little bit harsh. We don't have to, you don't have to agree with me. Get in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And by now, if you've not hit the subscribe button, do it now and like this video, guys. There's a lot more content coming around this Formula One. And it just got exciting because Max Verstappen was there. But then going back to Alonso, I think I understand, like, okay, if you're following a car, you need to be more aware than the driver ahead of you, because the driver ahead, he knows you're on fresher tires, you have more traction, you have more grip, you have more rubber. You will do anything and everything to dislodge or disorient or kind of cause a surprise so that you are caught off guard and you make a mistake. Fernando Alonso is a master tactician. You know who you're fighting. George Russell knows who he's fighting. He's not like a rookie who's never fought against Fernando Alonso. So I don't feel this to be any way a Fernando Alonso mistake. I feel this is too harsh. But the steward document continues to say, specifically in this case, the stewards have not considered the consequences of the crash. Further, the stewards consider that do not have sufficient information to determine whether Alonso's maneuver was intended to cause Russell problems, or whether he stated to the stewards that he simply was trying to get a better exit. Should Alonso have the right to try a different approach to the corner? Yes. Should Alonso be responsible for dirty air and ultimately causing the crash? No. However, did he choose to do something with whatever intent that was extraordinary, that is lifting, braking, downshifting, and all the other elements maneuvering to the over 100 meter earlier than previously and much greater than was needed to simply slow earlier for the corner? Yes, by his own account of the incident, he did. In the opinion of the stewards, by doing these things, he drove in a manner that was at least potentially dangerous given the high-speed nature of that point of the track. This season, the FIA Formula One penalty guidelines, including for the breach, have been reset and increased to a baseline of 10 seconds. In addition, there was something aggravating circumstances. We consider a drive-through penalty. In this case, we consider Alonso affirmatively choosing to perform an unusual maneuver at this point to be an aggravating circumstance as opposed to a simple mistake. In addition, Alonso was also given 3 penalty points on his license. So it just became like harsher and harsher, basically. But then if you look from the steward's perspective, they're only following the regulation. They're basically saying, did Alonso do something out of the ordinary? Like, of course, he braked differently from his previous, like the whole lap, the 57 laps that he did. All the laps he braked, completely different position of braking, completely different speeds of braking, completely different acceleration and downshifting. Hence they're saying this is not normal, guys. You are not doing something that is normal. You're changing the way you drove for this specific last lap of the race. And that's what they've deemed potentially dangerous. I'm going to go on a limb here and basically say Fernando Alonso is not going to make a big issue. I think he's kind of come out on Twitter and he's basically said that he did right after the race. And this is what he wrote. Double points for the team and better race pace than the rest of the weekend allowed us to cross the finish line in P6 and P7. A bit surprised by a penalty at the end of the race regarding how we should approach the corners or how we should drive the race cars. At no point do we want to do anything wrong at these speeds. I believe that without gravel on that corner or any other corner in the world, we will never be even investigated. In F1, with over 20 years of experience with epic duels like Imola 2005, 2006, Brazil 2023, changing racing lines, sacrificing entry speed to have good exits from corners is part of the art of motorsport. We never drive at 100% every lap and every corner. We save fuel, tires, brakes, or being responsible for not making every lap the same is a bit surprising. We have to accept it and think about Japan to have more pace and fight for positions further up the field. Thank you, team Aston Martin F1. That's how he's ended. Clearly, Fernando Alonso has made his point across, basically saying, guys, you can't expect me to keep driving like the same way, like lap over lap. But then, okay, the stewards had decided to do this. Fine, it's a steward's decision. I don't have a say in it. I will accept it the way it is. But he clearly is not agreeing with the decision, I would say. That's like easiest to understand. But he's also saying that he has had epic battles with this. So come on, like, are you going to go back in history and change decisions and stuff and give 20-second time penalties? Very strange from the stewards. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you divided? Who do you feel went? What was the right decision? Do you feel Fernando Alonso deserved this penalty or he did not? It's a straight yes or no answer. Drop it in the comment section below. Let me know what do you think. Do engage and do like this video if you've still not done that. Do subscribe and I catch you in the next one.